Whitesnake would be formed in London in 1978. The group was originally put together as the backing band for singer David Coverdale, who left Deep Purple in 1976. Originally the band would be called David Coverdale's Whitesnake, although Coverdale wanted to call it Whitesnake. Many illustrious musicians would pass through the ranks of Whitesnake during its existence, with Coverdale as the only constant member. Coverdale assembled the first iteration of Whitesnake during 1978, and the band would consist of Doug Dowell on drums, Mickey Moody and Bernie Marsden of UFO fame on guitars, Neil Murray on bass guitar and Brian Johnson on keyboard. Their first club tour in Britain brought them to the attention of EMI International that was willing to give them a contract providing that they first put out an EP to test the waters. By the time that they started recording the EP, keyboardist Brian Johnson had been replaced by Pete Solly, and famed producer Martin Birch would be recruited as producer due to him previously working with Coverdale in Deep Purple. The EP would be called Snakebite and would include a cover of Bobby Bland's Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, and would only be released in Europe. When it peaked at number 61 on the UK singles chart, EMI relented and signed the band. Whitesnake's debut album would be called Trouble and was recorded and produced by Martin Birch. By the time that recording started, keyboardist Pete Solly had been replaced by another ex-Deep Purple bandmate of Coverdale, John Lord. The album would be released in October 1978 and would be followed by UK and European tours respectively, both of which were very successful. By the time their second album Love Hunter was released in October 1979, Dowell had been replaced on drums by Ian Pace of Deep Purple fame. The album and subsequent tours were a commercial success. Due to financial mismanagement by their management company, the band was in constant debt, and Mickey Moody would leave in 1981. After a failed contract renegotiation, Coverdale took the decision to fire the rest of the band for a lack of enthusiasm and to buy himself out of his contract. He would re-establish Whitesnake and recruit Moody and Lord again. Nell Galley would do duties on guitar with Colin Hodgkinson on bass and Cozy Powell on drums. This lineup would record Saints and Sinners, which was released in November 1982. Whitesnake enjoyed much success in the UK, Europe and Japan through their early years. Their albums Ready and Willing, Come and Get It and Saints and Sinners, which included the original version of Here I Go Again, all reached the top 10 of the UK albums chart. By the mid-1980s, however, Coverdale had set his sight on breaking through in North America, where Whitesnake remained largely unknown. Moody would leave again during October 1983 due to dissatisfaction and creative differences with Coverdale. John Lord would depart early in 1984 after completion of the Saints and Sinners tour. Marsden and Hodgkinson were let go during 1983 and Neil Murray was recruited again to replace Hodgkinson. By this time, Whitesnake was signed to Geffen Records and promoter John Kolodner convinced Coverdale to recruit a guitar hero type player if he wanted to break through in the North American scene. Possible candidates for the job were German guitarist Michael Schenker of UFO and Dutch guitarist Adrian Vandenberg. Both, however, declined, and Coverdale managed to recruit ex-Thin Lizzy and Tigers of Pantang guitarist John Sykes for the role. This would prove to be a fateful decision, and both Murray and Sykes would officially join Whitesnake in January 1984. Whitesnake's sixth studio album, Slide It In, was released on the 30th of January 1984, followed by a tour. Galley would break his arm and would be forced to leave Whitesnake. Reviews of the album were not very favorable, however, and North American fame once again eluded Coverdale. Powell left the band at the conclusion of the tour in January 1985 due to differences between himself and Coverdale. Coverdale had a meeting with the record label where he informed the label that he was letting the rest of the band go. He was persuaded to keep Murray and Sykes. Early in 1985, Coverdale and Sykes retreated to southern France to start work on a new album. By this time, the band consisted of Coverdale, Sykes on guitar, Murray on bass, Ainsley Dunbar on drums and Don Airy on keyboards. Adrian Vandenberg did some session guitar work, and the album would be produced by Mike Stone, and the album would be recorded in Vancouver. However, Coverdale would struggle with severe sinus infection when he had to record vocals for the album. Creative and personality clashes reared their heads again, and both Sykes and producer Mike Stone would be fired when Coverdale accused them of booking excessive studio time and sound equipment, and in Sykes' case that he was trying to usurp Coverdale and making decisions without getting Coverdale's inputs. Dunbar and Murray weren't paid, and Dunbar left. Murray and Airy was fired shortly afterwards. By the time that 1987 was released in March of 1987, all the promotional videos would feature Coverdale on vocals, Adrian Vandenberg and Vivian Campbell of Dio fame on guitars, Rudy Sarzo of Quiet Riot fame on bass, and Tommy Aldrich on drums. 1987 would prove to be Whitesnake's biggest album and included hits like Still of the Night, Is This Love, and a rearranged version of Here I Go Again, which would make Whitesnake a household name in North America. The band toured in support of the album and supported Motley Crue on their Girls, Girls, Girls tour. Vivian Campbell would leave due to various reasons in 1988. At the conclusion of the tour in 1989, Coverdale informed the rest of the band that he and Vandenberg would be writing all the material for the new album, and that Vandenberg would be the sole guitarist in the band. Fate would intervene again, however, as Vandenberg sustained wrist injuries while doing playing exercises. Once again, Coverdale was forced to look around for a guitarist. Steve Vai of David Lee Roth fame and a solo artist in his own right joined Whitesnake for the Slip of the Tongue album and the subsequent tour. Coverdale officially put Whitesnake on a hiatus after the tour's final concert at Budokan in September 1990. Coverdale collaborated with Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin fame in 1993 as part of Coverdale Page. Greatest Hits compilation and Restless Hearts followed during this period, where grunge dominated the popular music scene. Coverdale remained the only original member. Since then, a reformation was announced in 2002 with Doug Aldrich and Reb Beach of Winger fame on guitar, and Marco Mendoza on bass, and Tommy Aldrich reprising the drumming role. Various not-so-spectacular albums and a slew of not-so-well-known musicians followed, and in 2018 Whitesnake announced their farewell tour. Tour dates for most of 2021 were cancelled, and it's yet to be seen if Coverdale will truly retire the snake. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.